The rise and fall of Xibei. Why did a catering empire collapse in 125 days? A plate of seafood that a customer complained tasted of lamb unexpectedly altered the trajectory of Xibei's fate. More than 2 decades later, another Weibo post about pre-made dishes pushed this catering giant, whose annual revenue once exceeded 6 billion RMB, into the abyss. Xibei will never go public. Jia Guolong had proclaimed this on numerous public occasions. This catering entrepreneur from Linhin, Inner Mongolia, relying on his stubbornness and business acumen, built a street-side snack shop into a northwestern cuisine kingdom with nearly 400 directly operated stores. A crisis in September 2025 rendered this vow hollow. A tsunami of public opinion triggered by an internet influencer caused Xibei to accumulate losses of over 500 million RMB in just 125 days, ultimately forcing it to announce the closure of 102 stores nationwide. Chapter 1. Starting point in Linhin. The dropout and the snack shop. Jia Guolong was born in 1967 in the Linhin district of Bainur City, Inner Mongolia. During high school, he took a 6-month leave due to neurasthenia. After enrolling at Dalian Fisheries University, Jia Guolong found he had no interest in academics but was full of curiosity about business. In May 1988, Jia Guolong made the life-changing decision to drop out of university. He later recalled saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm done with studying." With 5,500 RMB pooled by his mother and sister, Jia Guolong began his business experiments. He initially dabbled in small goods arbitrage between Xibei and Inner Mongolia, discovering the profit margins from regional price differences. In 1999, a local leader S words woke him up. How big can it be even if you had the entire Linhin market? Jia Guolong realized that to grow big, he had to leave the small town. 2. The Beijing pivot, from seafood to northwestern cuisine. The first store Jia Guolong opened in Beijing lost 1 million RMB in just 4 months, a sum that could have bought 10 apartments in Linhin at the time. The turning point came from a customer's complaint. "Why does your seafood have a lamb taste?" This offhand remark made Jia Guolong see the light. Why not leverage his own strengths and cook the northwestern cuisine he knew best? Overriding objections, he decisively pivoted. In 2002, the first Xibei Yumian village Xibei Oat Noodle Village opened at Liuliqiao in Beijing. This store later became the template for Xibei's development. Red and white checkered tablecloths, open kitchens, and strong northwestern flair. After the pivot, Xibei's business rapidly improved. The Liuliqiao store achieved a daily average turnover of 80,000 RMB, making a name for itself in Beijing's catering scene. Jia Guolong began to ponder, could this model be replicated nationwide? 3. The standardization revolution. The pioneer of Chinese cuisine chainization. Standardizing Chinese cuisine had always been an industry challenge. The characteristic of each dish having its own taste, each chef their own style, made chain expansion for Chinese restaurants difficult. Xibei, however, became a frontrunner in this area. Xibei's standardization revolution began with a dish called pork with pickled cabbage. This traditional northwestern dish had a problem. Controlling the amount of oil was always tricky. Inspired by instant noodle seasoning packets, Xibei's head chef Fu Guo invented an oil meat separator. Standardized thinking permeated Xibei's entire operational system. From separating oil and meat to separating oil and water, dry and wet ingredients, and lean and fat meat, separation, combination became the core philosophy behind Xibei's dish standardization. In 2005, Xibei launched the far-reaching arena system. This system pitted all national stores against each other in a grand competition based on standardized processes, with over 2,000 workflow nodes from the front to the back of the house becoming quantifiable and comparable. The arena system created astonishing motivational effects. Annual income gaps among Xibei employees could exceed 5-fold, with outstanding store managers even earning over 1 million RMB per year. This entrepreneurship division plus partner mechanism provided the talent guarantee for Xibei's rapid expansion. 4. The third-generation store model. engine of explosive growth in 2013, Xibei's development reached a critical turning point. After observing the izakaya koshien competition in Japan, Executive Wang Longlong proposed the idea of opening smaller stores. This proposal was initially met with internal skepticism, but Jia Guolong said, "Let's try it." Wang Longlong secured a 278 square meter space at the Fortune Financial Center in Beijing, creating Xibei's third-generation store model, 300 to 600 square meters, open kitchen emphasizing transparency and focused on efficiency. The third-generation store model completely unleashed Xibei's productivity. The number of stores skyrocketed from 60 at the end of 2014 to 325 in 2018, creating a miracle in the chainization of formal Chinese dining. Xibei's third-generation store model had distinct features: locations primarily in shopping malls to attract family customers, open kitchens to enhance trust, and a streamlined menu of around 33 dishes to improve serving efficiency. 5. Strategic positioning. A decade of exploration as a family-friendly restaurant, Xibei's positioning underwent multiple adjustments. In its early days, it experimented with various positions like Northwestern folk cuisine and grassland beef and lamb, countryside whole grains. In 2017, Xibei formally proposed the family-friendly restaurant strategy and coined the slogan, "If you have little treasures, eat at Xibei." This strategy precisely captured a gap in China's family dining market. Xibei's children's meals underwent 4 upgrades, from the simple Xibei Happy Kids meal to the professional kids meal. In 2021, Xibei announced it had served over 100 million families, making family-friendly restaurant its most distinct label. The success of the family strategy was evident in the data. Children's meal annual sales exceeded 11 million servings, becoming Xibei's star product. Xibei even collaborated with the Chinese Nutrition Society to publish the survey report on children eating out and related factors, establishing industry authority. 6. Expansion territory. From Inner Mongolia to nationwide, by the end of 2024, Xibei had nearly 400 directly operated stores nationwide, covering first-tier cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, as well as new first-tier cities like Hangzhou, Nanjing, and Chengdu. Xibei's store placement strategy was clear: focus on core commercial districts in first- and second-tier cities, choosing shopping malls as the primary venues. This location strategy, though costly in rent, ensured stable customer flow and brand exposure. During its expansion, Xibei developed a unique 3-tier management system: headquarters, entrepreneurship division, store. Each entrepreneurship division acted as an independent profit center, comprehensively managed by a division manager partner. This model greatly stimulated the initiative of the management. Outstanding entrepreneurship divisions could open more stores and receive higher dividends. Underperforming divisions would be downsized or even eliminated. 7. Fast food experiments. 9 failed attempts at sub-brand exploration. Despite the thriving main business, Jia Guolong never stopped exploring new ventures. Over the past decade, he spearheaded 9 attempts at fast food sub-brands: Xibei Oat Noodles, Mai Xiankun, Man Manuan Hejuju Cake, Super Rujiamo, Yogurt House, Gongchangjiang, Jia Guolong Kung Fu Dishes, Jia Guolong Chinese Burger, and Jia Guolong Small Pot Beef. Regrettably, not a single sub-brand achieved genuine success. These attempts consumed substantial resources and energy, also reflecting Xibei's struggles in navigating the fast food sector. Jia Guolong later reflected, "Our advantage in fast food lies in supply chain and central kitchens, but our disadvantage is not understanding the operational logic of fast food." Fast food and formal dining fundamentally differ in location selection, customer base, and operational pace. 8. The IPO shift. From never going public to sprinting for an IPO. Xibei will never go public. We distribute profits to the strivers. Jia Guolong had expressed this view publicly many times. But the 2020 pandemic changed his mind. During the pandemic, Xibei's cash flow once became so tight it couldn't last 3 months. Jia Guolong publicly appealed for help, drawing widespread industry attention. This experience made him realize the importance of capital. In September 2022, Jia Guolong announced Xibei plans to go public in 2026. This shift sparked much external speculation. To sprint for the IPO, Xibei accelerated its expansion pace, also bearing greater performance pressure. The goal of sprinting for an IPO perhaps sowed the seeds for the subsequent crisis. To meet the capital market's demand for growth, Xibei had to maintain rapid expansion, which required extreme standardization and cost control. 9. Crisis eruption. A storm triggered by one Weibo post on September 10, 2025. After dining at a Xibei store in Xiangyun Town, Shenyi, Beijing, Luo Yanghao posted on Weibo, "Xibei is almost entirely pre-made dishes, so why is it still so expensive?" This post quickly went viral. Consumers' long-standing dissatisfaction with the catering industry's use of pre-made dishes was amplified by Xibei's high prices. The focus of public opinion centered on whether the value matched the price. The next day, Jia Guolong held a press conference responding firmly, "Xibei does not serve pre-made dishes." He announced the launch of the Luo Yanghao menu, opening the kitchens of all national stores for inspection, and stated his intention to sue Luo Yanghao. But this PR move soon turned into a disaster. During kitchen visits, the media discovered Xibei's extensive use of frozen ingredients, vacuum-packed grilled fish, frozen broccoli with a 24-month shelf life, chicken wings with a 9-month shelf life. 10. PR missteps. From confrontation to public apology, Jia Guolong's tough response failed to quell the public opinion, instead adding fuel to the fire. The intention behind opening the kitchens was to prove innocence, but it ended up providing more evidence. Consumers discovered that for a price of nearly 100 RMB per person, they were eating standardized products from central kitchens, not the wok breadth of the wok of freshly prepared dishes. This psychological disparity completely destroyed the perceived value of Xibei. On September 14th, Xibei had to retract its previous decision, suspend kitchen visits, and remove the Luo Yanghao menu. That evening, Jia Guolong apologized in an internal group chat, stating, "We want to build a transparent Xibei, thoroughly learning from Pang Donglai." But subsequently leaked chat records showed Jia Guolong privately calling Luo Yanghao a cyber slanderer, cyber mafia. This two-faced attitude further damaged Xibei's credibility. 11. Performance collapse. 5 billion RMB loss in 125 days after the crisis erupted. Xibei's performance plummeted. Data showed Xibei's daily revenue continuously declined starting September 10th, decreasing by 2 to 3 million RMB daily from September 12th in November 2025. Xibei's overall revenue was only 265 million RMB, less than half of the same period in previous years. Over 4 months, cumulative losses exceeded 500 million RMB, with not a single store profitable. More severe was the change in cost structure. Due to implementing the fresh preparation reform, Xibei's labor cost ratio climbed from 25% to over 30%. With revenue sharply declining, rising costs added insult to injury for Xibei. Jia Guolong once revealed that Xibei's single-store net profit margin was only 5%, extremely fragile. In November 2025, fixed expenses for wages alone reached 135 million RMB, while revenue for the same period was only 265 million RMB. 12. Drastic self-rescue, closing 102 stores. On January 15, 2026, Jia Guolong confirmed on his social media that Xibei would close 102 stores nationwide at once, affecting approximately 4,000 employees. The number of closures accounted for over 30% of the total stores. The closure list showed these closures were mainly concentrated in first and second-tier cities. Shanghai was most affected with 19 stores. Beijing, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou closed 10, 8, and 5 stores respectively. Jia Guolong wrote on social media, "For 125 days under overwhelming vilification, 17,000 Xibei employees did their best. We don't beg others, we rely on ourselves, fighting hard for 125 full days. But he also promised that all departing employees would receive every cent of their wages. After the closures, Xibei would have only about 268 stores left nationwide. This contraction marked the end of Xibei's expansion era and implied the shelving of Jia Guolong's IPO plans. 13. Underlying contradictions. Xibei's impossible trinity. Xibei's crisis superficially was a PR failure, but in reality, it was a deep-seated conflict between its business model and changes in the consumer environment. Xibei was caught in the catering industry's impossible trinity: a high-cost structure, high customer price expectations, and the demand for rapid expansion. These three are difficult to satisfy simultaneously. Xibei's stores were mostly located in core commercial districts of first and second-tier cities with high rents and labor costs. To maintain nationwide chain standardization, reliance on central kitchens and pre-made semi-finished products was necessary. But a per-customer price of nearly 100 RMB led consumers to expect freshly prepared dishes and unique experiences. During economic upswings, this contradiction could still be masked by growth. But as consumption became more rational and consumers began carefully weighing the value of every penny, the problems of the Xibei model were laid bare. 14. Industry transformation. The collapse of the mid-range dining segment. Xibei's predicament was not an isolated case, but a common challenge faced by the entire mid-range dining segment. In today's Chinese market, successful catering businesses mainly fall into two categories. One category is affordable fast food like Lao Xiangji and Mi Fan Xiangxiang, with per-customer prices of 2-4 RMB, explicitly using pre-made dishes, and high consumer acceptance due to reasonable pricing. The other category is high-end dining like Din Rongji and Dong, with per-customer prices over 500 RMB, insisting on master chefs preparing dishes fresh, scarce ingredients, and providing unique experiential value. The mid-range segment with per-customer prices of 70 to 100 RMB is being squeezed from both ends. Consumers at this price point are unwilling to accept industrialized production, but also unwilling to pay high-end restaurant prices. 15. Self-rescue measures, fresh preparation, price cuts, and transparency to salvage the situation. Xibei launched a series of self-rescue measures. At the product level, Xibei completed the fresh preparation adjustment of over 10 core dishes: dumplings wrapped fresh, lamb skewers threaded fresh, chicken soup simmered fresh. Xibei's announced rectification measures included switching to non-GMO oil, changing core kids' meal dishes like beef clay pot rice, and lamb skewers to store fresh preparation, and canceling the all dishes served within 25 minutes promise. Regarding pricing, starting October 2025, Xibei reduced prices for over 30 products nationwide, with an average reduction close to 20%, lowering the average per-customer spend from 92 RMB to around 75 RMB. In terms of transparency, Xibei implemented open kitchens plus live kitchen broadcasts in all stores, attempting to rebuild consumer trust. These measures temporarily stabilized some customer flow in the short term, with national customer visits around 500,000 person times during the 2026 New Year's Day period. 16. Future challenges. The long road to rebuilding trust. After closing 102 stores, the fundamental challenges facing Xibei remain unresolved. The fresh preparation reform increased labor costs, while significant price cuts eroded already thin profit margins. Xibei needs to rediscover a balance between cost, price, and perceived value. This is not just an operational adjustment, but a rebuilding of brand value. The deeper challenge lies in the changing consumer environment. Today's consumers are more rational, more discerning. They no longer blindly trust brand halo, but vote with their feet. Jia Guolong reflected on his 3 mistakes: choosing to confront head-on, opening the kitchens, and using inappropriate remarks in group chats. But what he might also need to reflect on is, when times change, can past success experiences still guide the future? That wraps up today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please remember to subscribe, share, and like. See you!